Alrighty, I'm at the camp. I've got an interesting video where we can discuss some pros and cons of something. It's going to be the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. The specimen I have is a 9mm Gen 3. What I'm wearing on my hip is a Glock 19, which is the mid-size 9mm. And we'll get into what I have in the bag. This is a belt I use quite a bit. It's got my Cold Steel SRK knife, flashlight, 2 spare Glock 17 mags, and my Glock 17. This is just a large Craftsman tool bag. This is what the focus on today's video is about. You can see it folds up. It's fairly compact, even with the optic on it. Some years back, probably a decade ago, me and a buddy of mine were working on some strategies. He had some teenage kids, and he was often accompanying their church group. This also was about the time idiots decided it was a good idea to shoot up the church house. This one has a red dot optic on it. This is a Sig Sauer Romeo 5, I believe. Easy on and off. I have it equipped with flip up sights as a backup option, or if I need to get this thing even smaller, I can pull the sight optic off and simply run with iron sights. Here's your magazine release. You pull your trigger guard down and turn this Gen 3. You fold it up, and I've got it equipped with a 1-point sling. It can be deployed relatively quickly. Something I found on this one that you want to be careful of. Make sure your trigger guard, go ahead and hit it pretty good when you're folding it out. That way it engages solid. Simply insert a magazine, hit your release, and it's good to go. It's got a push button safety. Okay. When we push it all the way to the left, the gun is on safe. It disconnects the trigger. We put it on the right, and now we're ready to rock and roll. With it folded up, the way this design is, you can't keep a mag in the round in the chamber. Here's your chamber here. Very easy to check and make sure that it's unloaded. This one will fit either a factory Glock 17 mag, and it sticks out just a hair, or I can match it up with a shorter Glock 19 mag. So this is compatible with either my Glock 19 mags, the mags from my Model 45, which shoots a 17 round mag, same mag as the Model 17, or my 17, or any higher capacity magazine. So I intend in the near future to get some 33 round fun sticks for it. Glock factory. It's also proven itself in the 500-600 rounds that I've shot it since I bought it to be reliable with the PMag that are compatible with the Glock. Something like this setup you can fold up and you can have a reasonably good setup in a small area, small space. And so you can put this in the bottom of a suitcase, you can put it in a bag. It doesn't look out of sorts going in and out of motel rooms, in and out of functions where you can legally be armed, but it may not be the best option. Again, a lot of the strategies with the Kel-Tec we developed around the scenario of a guy who's active duty law enforcement accompanying a church group, a youth group. Now, there are certainly some things that can be said about a pistol caliber carbine. Number one, it is not going to equal even an intermediate rifle cartridge, 5.56, 7.62 by 39, and it certainly won't equal a full powered rifle cartridge, 30-06, 308, 270. But when you're shooting it, we have 4 points of contact. We have my cheek, which is down resting, my shoulder, and my two hands. This gives me a much more stable platform to shoot off of, and typically more accurate than I would even being well practiced at shooting pistols. Another advantage this setup will give you is you have a lot longer barrel. Going to this 16-inch barrel versus a 4 to 4.5 inch barrel. I pick up between 200 and 250 feet a second with 147 grain hollow point, which is my preferred bullet in 9mm. That's significant. We've gone from 950 to 1,000 feet a second to around 1,200 to 1,250. That means we're going to have better ballistic performance downrange with the projectiles. Okay, in those scenarios where we're having to deploy this, it deploys quickly. Grab it out of the bag, insert a magazine, put a round in the chamber, we're ready to go. Time permitting, sling it. Now we're fighting with a short-barreled carbine as opposed to a handgun. I'm not a big fan of Kel-Tec in general. This Sub 2000, I know the Gen 3 had some quality control issues from this tube, which is made by a third party. This one, upon checking it, good to go, meets all their criteria. So this gives me a much more formidable weapon to protect myself or to protect other people when I can't carry another long gun. Either one of my short-barreled shotguns, which is probably not a good option using in an area where you have to be careful of where your projectiles are going to impact, or not being able to carry my AR-15 or my AK-47. So this gives me some options. And for discreet carry, and I'm not encouraging anybody to break the law, carry things where they're not supposed to. And I'm not intending this for somebody who would wantingly cause harm to other people. This is put together for those who have a legal and or moral responsibility to protect people around them. And this may be a good option. You can work in close with it. You can certainly drop it and get even closer. With the 9mm cartridge and another 250 feet a second, I know everybody's loving to say, hey, the 9mm is so much better than it used to be. Well, truth of the matter, that's hooey. The same 147 grain bullets that I use in this have been that good since the 80s, when this was one of Winchester's premier bullets. Now it's a budget round, but it's still effective. It's effective out of these sidearms because of the bullet weight, and it's also effective out of these carbines because of the bullet weight and the increased velocity. So for those of us who may have to work in locations where we want something in addition to our sidearm, and we still have to be discreet in what we carry, this might be a good option. It's certainly one worth looking at. Later on.